Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in to the Falling Off the Floor podcast. I wanted to start doing these quick updates before the episode starts. So, this week I had a really awesome guest, Connery Lundin. He's a professional skier out of Palisades Tahoe. He's a free ride world tour champion and an all-around awesome guy. Was super cool to talk to and jump into his story. And he's getting older, and he was talking about that transition and wanting to keep getting after skiing and what next steps look like. It was a really interesting talk, and learning more about his journey and his mental health was awesome. Also, I realize I've taken a pretty big break from this podcast. And first off, I wanted to say sorry, but also I'm not sorry because this is a podcast about mental health, and I was taking time for me and working on things that I needed to in my life. I was traveling around the world. I'm going to be coming out with some really awesome solo episodes talking about my travels, my skiing in Alaska, Canada, all throughout the States. And I'm really excited to get back to doing the podcast. I just recorded a couple of awesome episodes, and they are going to be coming out in the coming weeks. Also, I'm here for you. Mental health fucking matters. Hoodies and crew necks and t-shirts and long sleeves and everything are out. I took a really long time finding an awesome manufacturer. They're super high quality. It's been an awesome partnership. It's been so cool watching you guys posting on social media, wearing your new gear. So head over to the fallingoffthefloor.com website to check out more of these. And I really hope you enjoyed this episode. This was a really fun one, and I'm glad to be back behind the microphone and working on the podcast. I really hope you guys enjoy it. And hello, everyone, and welcome to the Falling Off the Floor podcast. This week, I have a special guest, Connery Lundin. Connery and I connected through social media in the ski world. He is from Palisades Tahoe, California skier, just like myself. Without further ado, I'll kind of let you introduce yourself and tell us all about you.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me on your podcast. It's an honor. And you're right. Palisades Tahoe, spring skiing just ended here at Palisades Tahoe. We just had closing day. Sort of a sad time of year, post ski season depression is a thing, kind
Yeah.
of losing that routine, that purpose, that structure. But summer in California is awesome, and I'm looking forward to all that's there. So
Yeah. Awesome. So I also grew up in California, born and raised in the Big Bear area, Bear Mountains, my home mountain, and would spend a lot of time up in that area. It used to be obviously called Squaw Valley, and we would go up to Squaw and Palisades and compete a lot. So I know that kind of Northern California region really well. Did you grow up in Palisades?
no, I'm a classic Bay Area kid, weekend warrior, ski racer, motivated parents. We rented a little cabin up here in the valley. And then when I was 16, it's kind of the do or die. Stick with it, ski race, or do you stick it out in the bay and do that? And I ended up picking ski racing and skiing, and I'm so glad I did. I moved up here with my mom and went to a ski academy. It's a pretty boring story, A lot of big mountain skiers have the same one, but it's it's tried and true. The ski racing background is undoubtedly super helpful for doing what I do, skiing big mountains.
For sure. Yeah, ski racing is where it started with me. Uh, Being from Bear Mountain, it at a certain age started sliding into freestyle, and started
Yeah,
competing in freestyle, and that's kind of the route we took because, as you well know, if you've skied down there, there's not a lot of big mountain skiing. It's either you ski park or you race. If you're going to take your skiing anywhere, so yeah, I took it into the park scene. Um, but I often think about that, how ski racing and the techniques and everything you learn from ski racing translates to big mountain so well. I had an injury that kind of took me out of the park scene, and all those fundamentals that I learned in ski racing, when I got to the kind of the big mountain scene, I was so out of my league. I was like, I've never skied any of this stuff before. I'm from Bear Mountain, like we don't ski like this. So when I first started dipping my toes into this post injury, it was a wake up call, but it was also like a fun learning curve for me. And I would often use those techniques from all those years of ski racing into the big mountain, and it was a hell of a journey for sure. And now I couldn't imagine skiing anything else. And speaking of free ride and big mountain, you won the free ride world tour, correct?
Free Skiing World Tour.
Free
So
skiing world tour.
to date myself, back in 2015 was the last year that we had what was basically a divided tour. We had the Free Skiing World Tour and the Free Ride World Tour. So every year, the Free Ride World Tour was the European tour, the Free Skiing World Tour was the American tour. So everywhere, every year, they were crowned two world champions,
Ah,
which got a little confusing competing. So in 2016, I believe, is when both those tours joined to what became the Freeride World Tour, and that's what we
awesome.
have today. Um, but yes, I did. I won I call it the American Freeskiing World Tour, and um, yeah, that was a huge stepping stone uh, for my career, really, as
Yeah.
a big mountain skier.
Where where did that take you? What does your life look like today since 2015? What has your ski career been looking like?
Yeah, it's funny. The job description of a professional big mountain skier has completely changed since I started well, call it starting in 2015. I'd been competing since 2010, but, and even during then, there was the magazines, uh, there was the ski movies, which was basically MSP, TGR, level one, and then Warren Miller. Um, and then there was the competition. So if you were competing, filming in magazines, boom, you're killing it. That's it. Um, Today, it feels like that none of those criteria even they matter, but they're not the end all. Magazines. I mean, we all know magazines are sort of where they are. They're on the decline, and
Yep.
um, there's one issue a year of powder. The movies, MSP, TGR, Warren Miller, Level One, those things, I think they'll always have value. I think it's awesome to go up to a premiere in the fall and that community and culture. So I think there's still a ton of value there. But it's not everything like it used to be. And then competition, it's just a changed landscape. So I'm very grateful for coming into it when I did, because there was still a lot of opportunity to sort of build a name into the sport um, through more obvious channels, magazines, movies, competition. And I sort of, in my competitive nature, tried to check all those boxes while having fun doing it. But yeah, those are my goals: to be in the movies, be in the magazines, and win competitions. I only won one competition, but it did get me over one
Well,
too. So
yeah, it was a pretty big one.
hang
Do
my hat
you
on
still
that.
compete today? Are you doing any of the free ride world tour stuff?
I haven't stepped foot in competition since winning in Telluride. It was sort of a means to an end competition. I really loved it, and I think that right now the Freeride World Tour is in a really cool place with just the skiing that's happening, the people in it.
Yeah.
But for me, it's just it's big mountain competition skiing is dangerous. Let's be real. Like, you are skiing, whether it's bulletproof ice or powder, and flat light or sunny, it's uh, someone's going to give it their all, and so the bar is just raised and raised, and I'm happy to spectate from the computer or the side of the mountain at this point.
Yeah, I get it, man. Um, Skiing was really close to taking my life, like very close, and you know, it took a long time for me to even muster up the courage to get back on skis. And people often ask me that, like, why don't you compete? Why don't you do these things? And I really realized it's not worth it for me. Um, as I've gotten older, I've realized like life is pretty fickle, and people are in the 2.5 years I wasn't skiing and recovering from my spinal injury. It was like things went from point A to Z in a really quick turnaround. It went from double corks to quad corks. Like it's, the
Oh
world
yeah,
of skiing is it changes so quickly. And now today I've figured out a way to monetize skiing, and I love it, man. Like nobody's really telling, and this might be the same thing with you. It's like nobody, there's no coaches, there's no this, that. Like we just get to go out and ski and have fun. And if people like watching it, uh, that's awesome. And
totally.
and social media and the world of like marketing has, I think, changed a lot of things for skiers. It's given people the opportunity to make money in the sport that maybe they competed 10 years ago and thought it was over. And you know social media gave them a second ride, maybe in their 30s or their 40s. Like look at Tanner Hall, the dude is like 40 years old, still doing crazy stuff, and he's not competing anymore, but he's probably making more
Totally.
money and enjoying life a whole lot more not on the circuit. So yeah, it's an interesting shift that the world of like social media and content and all these things has changed not only skiing but like so many sports. It's given people a platform.
Totally. No, it's well, I'm glad you survived whatever gnarly accident you have.
Yeah,
Skiing can do that. It can give you everything and it can take it away just as fast. So
yeah. I've got this. I just finished a piece with Icon for Mental Health Awareness Month, and it's coming out later this week. And that was something that I talked about, is that skiing literally took everything from me, everything. It nearly killed me. Took me down a road of addiction and homelessness and mental health. And it's also the place that has allowed me to get out of all of that. So it's this weird dichotomy of it's taken everything from me, but it's also given me everything. And I think a lot of people in our sport have suffered some level of injury. You can't go through many years of skiing without, some sort of injury. And yeah, I mean it's tough mentally, physically, everything. Um, your transition from competing into the role that you kind of play now within your career, was that tough mentally on you?
yeah, you'd alluded to it earlier, but there's no like rule book. There's no specific way to make it as a professional skier, let alone professional extreme sports athlete, whether it's biking, surfing. There's no rule book. There's no people telling you how to do it. It's all pretty cowboy. It's becoming a little more regimented as we see big mountain skiing maybe coming into the Olympics and slopestyle, but it's still all pretty cowboy. No one really knows what each other are making and all that. So yeah, I totally I knew one thing after winning the Freeskiing World Tour, and that was I didn't want to compete anymore, and I didn't want to have this moment of success and then not follow it up with trying to do what I really wanted to do in skiing from the start, which was film with like Matchstick and Warren Miller and be in movies. So to go back to your question, it was a testing year saying no to doing competitions because there's something nice about the routine that being on the tour does. It gives you a schedule. You're going to be here on this date and here on this date. It sets it all up for you. It's a marketing machine, so you're kind of set up. But But I was falling out of love with that. So for the first year I was living in Jackson, I was working at a restaurant, just won the Freeskiing World Tour, serving tables and talking to tables. Oh, what do you do like outside of serving me a chicken pot pie right now? It's like, oh, I'm a skier. And I remember one time I came up on the screen. I did this little TV show, and the table I was serving saw me skiing and winning this trophy and the tour thing. And they're like, "Oh my God, what are you doing here?" And I was like, skiing doesn't pay. You gotta get creative to figure out ways to make it. It doesn't just happen for you. Um,
Yeah.
and so yeah, that whole year living in Jackson, I was serving at two different restaurants and having a ton of fun, but trying to figure out a way to evolve into a film athlete. And I was really stressed. I was thinking, I'm blowing it. I'm not competing, and I'm not even filming. I don't know if I'll get an opportunity. And um, sticking my neck out there enough, I was able to get invited to a trip with Powder Magazine. They filmed a movie called Monumental, which is
Yeah.
still one of the coolest movies I've been a part of, skiing in the national parks. Um, so I got to sort of get my leg in the door there and do a film trip with Coulter Hinchcliffe and Andy Mayer and Lindsay Dyer, who were some of my idols at the time. And that was the first like, whoa, like this is real moment. These people are in movies. We're filming for a movie. Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Um, so that was kind of that first trip realization that like this can be a thing. And then it still happened in slow motion over the years. The next year I got a call from Scott Gaffney to come film in Tahoe for Matchstick Productions. And then it snowballed. But uh, when I was in it, did not feel like it was happening like, overnight by any means.
Yeah. It's stressful, man. It's stressful wondering where the next paycheck is going to come from, and um, it's it's a stressful time for sure. And it's always fun listening to athletes see how they transition
Yeah.
into kind of I call it graduating. You like graduate from the competition scene into this like next version of yourself in the ski world. And yeah, I think it's different for a lot of people. Some people go into coaching, some people go into films. There's people like Colby Stevenson that are doing it all. Um,
Killing it.
and
Yeah.
there's all these different parts to it. So, it's cool hearing that you were able to find that path and take it to where you are now. So, what does your skiing look like today? What does your life look like today? You mentioned you're based in Palisades, but you travel a lot. So, what did your last season look like?
Yeah. Well, this last season I was splitting time in Canada. My partner, my girlfriend Kelsey, is getting her PhD at the University of British Columbia. So this year was totally different than past years. I was sort of splitting my time between the Revelstoke area, Kelowna, and then sort of traveling for trips. So I went to Mount Baker for 2 weeks, filmed a blizzard project. Went to Jackson Hole for 2 weeks during one of their better storms, and skied with my friend Teton Brown, um, filming for our own stuff. And aside from that, 35, just focusing on staying healthy and still having fun with skiing is also a big thing. There's ebbs and flows. There's years I'm super motivated, and then there's years where it feels like a little more of a job, and just you got to like pull that motivation out. And this was kind of one of those years, and I think it also had to do with the fact that the snow itself, we never had prolonged periods of powder storms. It was sort of
Yeah.
snow and then this lull. It's like snow and then this lull. And just reflecting, I realized I need sort of little more consistency to just get the ball rolling, to start building that confidence. Um, so was able to find that on select trips, but this year was just different than other years. They all are.
Yeah.
Um, but end of the day, like healthy. And I also got to film a Toyota commercial that aired in the Super Bowl
Yeah,
early
I
in
saw
January,
that.
which was pretty cool. That was a really cool thing to be a part of.
Yeah, that was an awesome ad. Super, super well done.
Yeah,
Um,
Jack Body filmed and edited, and he's just crazy with it. So
yeah, yeah,
it's worth
super
watching because he's
talented.
the visuals he does are so cool.
Yeah, I watched that this morning when I was just kind of going through your Instagram and all of the like cuts with the mountains and flowing everything
Yeah,
together and the sound design. It was, yeah, that
it's
was a Super
amazing.
Bowl commercial for sure. That's
Yeah,
awesome. That's a check mark in the career. I got
no
a Super
kidding.
Bowl
Yeah,
commercial.
no, for real. And it's funny I use the word check mark because um, a lot of the times, when you're young, you're ambitious, you're hungry, like you can work for it. And
Yeah.
I came from a ski racing mentality where it's a little more dog eat dog, it's a little more like self-absorbed, me, and I've just forever been trying to get away from that mentality. I think we all are, like, away from that ego. And but I'm still competitive. So uh it's just funny, the check mark thing, because looking back, I'm like, okay, well, I checked off the winning the tour box, I checked off getting the magazine covers, I checked off the movies. But it's like, looking back is like never about checking off any of those things. Like, I don't
Yeah.
remember, that it doesn't bring me any satisfaction. It was just like the thing, the journey. It's cheesy, but it's true. Just
Yeah.
the process, the working at the restaurant in Jackson, and grinding it out to get into the monumental film and film in Yellowstone National Park. Like, those things are the things that stick out. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to push back on my own word of using
Check
checking things
marks.
off,
Yeah, but
like life is a
I
to-do
think
list.
especially in sports, I think having goals are what push everyone to get to the next step. And I hear this often, that you reach the goal and you go check, and it wasn't enough, so it's like, what's next, what's next, what's next, and we're like always kind of chasing this goal setting. But in action sports especially, it can be like scary. You're like really putting your body on the line, and once it's done, that that kind of high dopamine level chase and everything can put a lot of people in a low. Um, my good friend Alex Schlope, for example, he just had an awesome piece come out with Ski Utah about his journey. And that's something he and I talk about a lot, is like, when you have these like abrupt stops to these, you're
Mhm.
setting all the goals, you're winning the X Games, this, that, whatever, and then it's this abrupt stop. It's like, whoa, what do I do now? And our bodies and our brains, when you're in that cycle, are always turned on. You're always kind of on edge. You're chasing the next goal. The cliffs are getting bigger, the flips are getting more technical, and there's never a moment to like slow down and take the deep breath. And yeah, when all that gets pulled away, uh yeah, it's a weird place to be. It put me in a really weird spot. That's when I got hooked on drugs, and it, I replaced it with the wrong things. And the ski industry is kind of an industry of who's partying harder,
Yeah,
especially
a
at
lot of
those, a
ego, a lot of ego in general.
lot of ego, a lot of big dick
A lot
syndrome.
of Yeah, and a lot of cool, fun, outlandish people, which
Yeah,
they all go hand in hand.
yeah, exactly. So, you mentioned you're 35. Where do you see your career going in the next, let's say, 10 years in an ideal
Yeah,
world?
yeah, no, that's a great question. I wish I had a good answer because I've
Yeah.
been thinking about it a lot,
Yeah.
um, you know, every day basically. But um, When I was a kid, I had, role models, Shane McConkey, just people in the valley here. This was such a hotbed for professional skiing. Um, and C.R. Johnson, he's my favorite skier of all time. He passed away skiing. But these people were like real life superheroes I had access to. I could see them in the lift line. So all that to say, I don't really know. I'm figuring that out. I want to keep jumping off bigger cliffs and doing bigger backflips forever? Definitely not. I don't think I don't think I have enough cartilage left in my knees to keep doing that. Um, that being said, I still feel super healthy and strong, and so uh, right now I feel like I'm in a balance between sort of figuring out that next, you know, being some sort of mentor, positive, whatever, role model, whatever I can be to sort of give back to like the youth and the next generation of skiing, and also maintaining my career and having fun skiing for myself.
Yeah,
Because, it is a selfish sport. And just being a professional athlete, there is some of that selfishness involved. But if you can if I can translate it into helping and giving back, then it feels better.
for sure. Do you imagine that in some level of like getting into coaching in the kind of Tahoe area? I know there's a lot of academies up there.
Yeah, definitely. Right now, I definitely don't want a full time coach in the winter. I still am, I'm still grinding it out and skiing and going
Yeah.
hard. In the summers, I do coach. I coach Party Beach ski camps. We
Cool.
run, yeah, with Marcus Caston and Lindsay Strange. They're amazing skiers and friends, and we run basically a big mountain camp on Mount Hood for a month. We get
Sweet.
kids 8 to 18, and then we have an adult camp. Um, so I've taught a ton of kids, their first backflips, and we teach these kids how to make turns before they can backflip because everyone just wants to flip these days. Uh,
Yep.
that's the cool thing. It's like, can you make a turn? Skiing's a life sport. When you're 80, you'll still need to know how to turn, but you probably won't be backflipping.
Yep.
Uh,
Exactly. Exactly.
so so yeah, no, I'm sort of segueing into coaching a little bit, but um, just grateful for health and to still have my sponsors, Blizzard Technica, Akova Gear, and Everyman Jack, Palisades Tahoe.
Yeah.
Um, Toyota's been super nice.
Yeah. It keeps
Swanee
things
gloves,
spinning.
shout out. Totally, totally.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, finding a way to keep doing it in a fun way and in a real way with the promotion and the social media stuff. That's also that's real is uh, you know promoting your sponsors, and for me just being genuine about it is important because if I'm not having fun, then it's not coming across that way on social media, and no one
Exactly.
wants to see that. So
Yeah, exactly. So I I definitely want to jump into a little bit about um, what your experience has been like in terms of mental health, and it is Mental Health Awareness Month, and something I've been talking about a lot. I mentioned I've got this piece coming out with Icon on Friday, and um, ski towns in particular. We've been doing a ton of research for our own film that we're working on, and a big part of that is we look at statistics. And like here in the Rocky Mountains, I'm here in the Front Range, but in the Rocky Mountains, there's all these different counties throughout Colorado. Like, for example, Grand County, that is 45 minutes from Denver, up in the Winter Park area, has like a 3.5 times higher suicide rate than the rest of the state. And we're starting to kind of research all of these different towns and see why. And kind of like the guiding factors in almost every ski town is that something you just talked about earlier is the postseason depression. There's this go, 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 go for months and months. And then the season ends, and maybe it was a seasonal job, you were lifty, you were working at the bar, whatever, and then it ends. Everyone leaves, and there's this weird transition period into the summer of like, what do I do? And, it's different when you're a professional athlete, but you've been in these ski towns and seen it, uh, you know, unfold kind of in front of you that, it's party hard, ski hard, party harder. And what has that experience been like for you being a professional athlete? Like, have you struggled with your mental health in the past? And what has it been like living in a ski town?
Yeah, no, I mean, you totally bring up a million good points. Ski towns are super susceptible to, um, there's a slew of people that, we're all a little kooky. I think it's a self-selective bunch. If you're someone that, wants to jump off cliffs and live in a cabin off in the woods by themselves, or you need to go trail run for 20 miles to feel sane. Like, I think there's something there. Just the people that the mountains attract are, a certain type of way, wired a certain way. I'm certainly like that. I'm no exception. And then, yeah, there's the cultural factors, like, partying and, the things you can get sucked into when there is the void of no skiing. Um, I always try to replace skiing at the end of the season with something healthy.
Yeah.
And that's easier said than done. I'm kind of hooked on surfing right now. My girlfriend's from Santa Cruz. Um, so finding new exciting things, like surfing for me, biking for a lot of people. I don't know. I'm not here to give answers, but no, I'm super bummed that the season's over as well. I miss the people the most, I think. It's like the skiing every day, but then it's just like all the people. It's just where you meet up with your friends to do the coolest thing ever, slide on snow. So,
Yeah.
it is kind of a bummer when it's over, when you think about it.
Yeah, for sure. So has there been a time in your ski career that you've struggled mentally heavily, or is that something you haven't struggled with as much in your career?
No, I've definitely struggled. I'd say different ways throughout my career. You know, spanning from, anxiety for getting in movies and delivering for sponsors and trying to, be just become a thing, just to just establish yourself, that pressure put on yourself. Um, that's very stressful. That caused me a lot of anxiety. But there was such a will back then. I was able to just freaking power on right through it.
Yeah.
Losing a lot of friends to skiing and in the mountains, um, and just heroes like Shane, and there's really too many to name. That's for sure taken a toll and changed how I look at the mountains, how I really look at life. Honestly, I've lost some really close friends, some best friends. So I think that's tough. I think I'm still processing, pushing stuff down. Um, I don't even know. I get mad at skiing for it. I like want to rebel against the sport itself because I hate that, there's this element of injury and death that is real in all of it. And then, yeah, during the pandemic, I mean, if we're just gonna do the laundry list of them all here, like during the
Yeah.
pandemic, as I think maybe a lot of athletes can relate, I definitely went into probably what I would say is like the most depressed I've ever been with just life in general. And that had to do with a lot of things. My mom had cancer, and skiing. It was skiing. Our job all of a sudden was don't post, don't ski. It just felt like what's the point of anything? Sort of was was the mentality I was having for a while, and it took a while to crawl out of that, um, and just find fun in everyday
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that. Something I think about a lot when it comes to skiing, and I alluded to it earlier, is that especially in an action sport like this, we're always turned on. Like the amygdala, the fear center is almost shut off at times. And sure, there's always fear. You're standing on top of a massive cliff, the cameras are rolling, they say drop. It's like there's always a little bit of fear, but that amygdala is like almost shut off. And you're in this kind of constant, like, go, 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 go. I got to get the best clip. I got to get it now. And that, I think, takes a long term effect on all of us that it we are always turned on, and there is this level of stress that probably it definitely bleeds into my life in the ski season, that it's always the next thing, and I have to sometimes take a step back and be like, it's fine, like it's I didn't get the clip, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a tough thing to manage. And you mentioned losing people to the mountains. And whenever I go to like I spent a couple weeks in Alaska this winter and filming, and when you're
Nice.
standing in Alaska or really any like gigantic big mountain environment, you feel so small. Like you really take it in that you are so much less powerful than these mountains. And it helps me take a step back because I live here in Colorado. We've got really, really unstable snow. And we, at times, guys are like, let's go out and ski this. And it's like, what the fuck? You know, you're you're constantly taking a risk out here until really this time of year when everything settles. And I've gotten to this point in my life that it's just not worth it to me anymore. I've been angry at skiing for the better half of the last decade, that I felt like skiing took everything from me. It's taken friends' lives. It's done a lot, but it's also given me everything. And it's this like weird dichotomy of, God, I hate this sport so much, but I also, there's nothing better than sliding on snow. And it has helped me take a step back and think maybe I shouldn't ski this line today. Like everything's pointing to maybe let's not ski it today. And that's not something I used to do when I was younger. If if it was even the slightest bit a go, we'd ski it. And I think I've gotten away with a lot in my skiing. There was lines I shouldn't have skied on unstable days here in Colorado, all over the Pacific Northwest. And now I think that's shifted the way I look at skiing a lot, was losing friends and nearly losing myself, and finding that kind of peace in, all right, it's cool. Don't got to ski it today. Like we don't have to do any of this actually. Um, it's the clips will come, the film will come together, the content will come together, the magazine covers will come, like whatever. Uh, don't have to ski this and like put our lives on the line. And uh, it's been really tough. We lost a kid in the Winter Park community last year that was young, that was trying to do a road gap in an area that
Yeah.
the road gap, when you look at it now, like I drive on that road multiple times a week, and I there's like a memorial set up, and I like look at that every day, and I'm like, whoa. And that was solely because of like, got to get the clip, got to get everything's pointing to this being a bad idea. And that is the other shift of social media, is that you see this younger generation getting after it in a way that I don't know has ever really been done before. Um, and it's all for getting the likes and the views and you know the hope that that one clip might get you the Technica sponsor or the whatever. Um, so it's it is difficult to see that with the younger generation and going back to what you said about working with kids and giving back to the sport. I think that's awesome because having older, like more responsible role models in the ski scene, I think is huge. Uh, we You probably grew up in the similar generation as me that you're out skiing with all of the homies and it might be a bad idea, but that guy just did it and now he's hyping me up to do it and like sure that's part of the sport. Um, but I think social media is also driving that too when you see some guy got 1 million views on social for doing this crazy ass thing, you want to do it too. You want to do the road gap. You want to go for that. And, um, I think it's an important thing to try and show those lessons to the younger generation that the Instagram video is not worth it. Like,
For sure. I totally agree. And you said something about like it's for the likes and Kodak courage. That's what they used to call it back in the day. You'd
yeah,
do something stupid in front of the camera for the photo, but Kodak courage has always been a thing.
yeah,
Um, even before iPhones and Instagram and skiing. But I do think that it's just accelerated with social media, phones, and all the things you said. I think one of Rob Gaffney, the late Rob Gaffney's big speaking points was sportgevity and what's
huge.
his sportgevity sort of evolved over time, his definition. But um, what I remember him saying towards the end was sportgevity was about, and this was in a TED talk, was really about um, parents just teaching and raising kids where like they are enough. They don't need these accolades and this external validation. It's like if you can build that internal like foundation within your kid or whoever, just that you are enough and that you don't need this, and I think there's something to be taken from that. I think it's a cool way to think about it. He was super smart and um, yeah, I think there's a cool way to build off of that idea because yeah, a lot of the times why are you needing to get more light? Is it what validation are you looking for? And I do it too. I've done it. I've done the crazy thing because I, maybe not directly but indirectly thought like, if I do this, I stop this, like that's going to be a banger clip, but I'll be in the movie. It's going to help my sponsors. It's going to help me next. It's all in the calculus, um, but that can't be the sole reason,
Yeah,
like that can't be the sole reason, I think. Um,
yeah,
but I also think it's important to acknowledge that like ego is always going to be part of it. Like, there's, I don't think you can untie your ego from doing extreme things, but you can, you can make it not so significant a chunk of the reason.
exactly. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I The external validation thing of social media goes so far beyond even sports now too. Um, you see it in every industry. Who's the hottest looking guy or gal, and those likes for a lot of people, it like drives their self worth. Um, I see a lot of younger kids trying to make it in the ski scene that like aren't getting the traction on social media, but they're doing the crazy stuff and it makes you
Right.
feel like you want to give up on the sport. And that's,
Yeah, I know.
I think,
And I think just to piggyback off that idea, I think we're seeing it now where there's just a saturation of crazy kids out there hucking themselves. on
Yeah.
social media. It's everywhere. It's triple, double, triple, blah blah blah. You know, it's just like
Yeah.
um, you can't consume it all. It's insane. So I keep trying to preach and also practice what I preach, that you don't, sponsors aren't looking for who can do the most flips necessarily. That might help get recognition, but it's also like the person you are, and maybe like the brand you can build behind it, and a way you can kind of tie you to your skiing and connect with people through it. I think that's a way more sustainable and safer way to make it. And that's been underutilized. I think everyone's sort of cookie cutter, doing the same thing as their friends. They're making the same edits, using the same music, doing the same tricks, which is cool.
Yeah.
I don't want to bash on it because I think it's really cool, um, but now there's too much of that, and so I'd like to see it balance out. Really like to see
Yeah.
a little of that, and I think we are.
Yeah. Authenticity for sure. Sharing who you are outside of skiing, I think, is so important. That's why I started this podcast. Um, so many athletes in general, that is their identity, and it might be a big part of your life, but it's not who you are, to the core.
And it's mine too, man. Like I'm super guilty of it as well. Like while I sit here, in the armchair,
Yeah.
I'm scared to post clips from the living room or stupid shit like that. Like, or just real life everyday things. I'm kind of always like, oh, this clip's not good enough. It's not banger enough. Yada yada yada. But I have to fight that voice as well.
Yeah.
So I just want to acknowledge that you know,
Oh, I'm so guilty of
it's
it, man.
yeah,
And
yeah.
as we're
It's
as we're kind of shifting out of the ski season right now, like I just opened up my top drawer right before this and I saw my Insta 360s in there and I was like, so much stuff on there that I could go through and I'm like done. That's what my brain is telling me. Like the clips aren't good enough, it doesn't matter, like just keep them there. Let's shift into summer and podcast and all that stuff. Um but there always is that little voice in the back of your head like it's not good enough, it's not going to work, people don't actually care about who I am or what we do.
I
And
deal with
at the
that
end of the
all
day, I think that's actually the most important thing is like people actually want to know who Connery is, who Austin is, who anyone is. Authenticity and who you are, I think, is actually probably the most beneficial thing to if you're like making content or whatever, is people want to see you skiing. Yeah, you're a badass skier and they want to see you skiing, but they also want to know who Austin is, who Connery is. And yeah, I I am so guilty of it that I watched this stupid video the other day that was like, just post it. Doesn't matter what it is, just do it. And I've been trying to like run that through my head of like, okay, I'll just do it, whatever.
yeah,
Um, people don't like it, who cares? But they probably do. So, um,
exactly.
and it
It's all in our heads. I deal with it. So
and it's a weird thing that our uh, it's a weird thing that our careers in a lot of ways are focused on this now. Um, before getting a golden X Games was the most important way to make a sponsor happy. Now there's content creators that are making way more money for brands through social media, and now brands are like, wait, you got to have this piece. Like we don't care as much anymore about the competitions and stuff. They do obviously, but there's this whole different aspect that I think a lot of people are like, whoa, I got to learn how to do this because it's such an important part of any career now, any business. You could be selling T-shirts. Better have a social media following if you want to sell T-shirts. Um, you know, it's this weird shift I think that the world is taking, and I think everyone's kind of adjusting. There's some people that are like, I got it figured out. It's like nobody really has social media figured out or any of this stuff. Um,
No, it's always changing. But I think one thing that I do try to think about is like, okay, there's 5% of us that can be just so damn good at skiing that you don't have to do anything else besides ski. Let's just say Marcus Eater right now or Candid
yeah,
Thovex. You just skiing does all the talking, and they're awesome people too. Not, but
yeah,
and then there's the content creators that are amazing at editing and doing, making things cool on social media and vertical and audio and all the titles. And then I think like 90% of us live somewhere in the middle, you know,
yeah,
and that's where, that's where I'm at for sure is, um, you know, skier, but also need to create content. I think finding your own lane, to do that in. I think everyone, it's cool when people find their own lane, whatever it is. Um,
yeah.
and that's that's
And that's who you are. Like
yeah,
at the core is
exactly.
like is that lane, and yeah, I I often talk about on this podcast how just opening up and talking about these things that are important to me, like mental health and addiction, and like trying to help others, is where I found my lane back into skiing. It wasn't by going back into the competition scene or breaking my neck and my back again or this, that. It was like, this is truly who I am, and I want to talk about these things. And it's not really talked about in the ski industry. There's very few people that are talking about it. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. Like, let's, and that's how I found like my lane within skiing. I still get to ski now and make money from skiing, but I actually get to like do my passion project. And um, I think everyone's kind of finding their lane. And you know, as you put it, and I think that's a great way to put it, is like, yeah, there's always going to be the guys that the skiing just talks for themselves. They don't have to do anything else. It doesn't even have to be well edited or anything. It could just be an iPhone clip. But the skiing's so damn good that everyone is, you are to the core, you're a badass skier. Um, and I think finding ways to like mesh in real life and everything, it's cool, and it's cool to like watch people find their lane. um, I've been loving these Everyman Jack campaigns that I'm seeing with skiers now. Like you're part of that. I
Totally.
watched some video today of you like jumping into the freezing river or something, and it's cool to see how like people find their lane and the brands they work with, and who would have thought like you know a, a shampoo company would be wanting to work with
Deodorant,
skiers.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, Everyman Jack, they're an awesome sponsor, and
yeah,
they do it right because they're not making ski products, so they're just, hey, Connery, like make just make a video for your followers that would be fun. If
yeah,
I had to force deodorant down people's throats, it probably wouldn't go over
yeah,
that well, but they totally get
yeah,
it and they're super cool and their stuff is awesome. And so, yeah, you get to be silly and show like a little different aspect of, who I am.
yeah,
Um, which is fun.
yeah. It's awesome. Well, we um we end every podcast on falling off the floor with something we call the burning desires. That comes from the world of Alcoholics Anonymous, actually. At every AA meeting, they like ask the group, "Do you have any burning desires?" And it's essentially just a moment that you share one tidbit of knowledge, something maybe you want to share with the kids or share with family, one piece of knowledge that you feel you want the world to hear.
Wow. Gosh.
And everyone responds that way, by the way.
Let's see. I've got a I've got a sticky. Where is this? I always save my favorite quotes. Um, oh yeah, one of my favorite quotes is "Never let your memories be greater than your dreams." I think that's one that I try and think about.
Love that.
more often than not is never let your memories be greater than your dreams. Yeah. Um, just kind of looking forward and always evolving, learning, changing, whatever it is. Um, maybe not jumping off, 60-foot cliffs till 80, like we said, but um, maybe telling better stories or, giving back in some way. So
Love that, man. Love that. It's an important thing, I think, for all of us to remember. Um, and we talked about the checklist. Uh, those are the memories in a sense. But
totally.
if we're using the checklist has got to keep going. We got to have our dreams. We got to have, I'm sure at 15 you didn't think you were going to be in a Super Bowl commercial, and sure enough,
Right.
Connery made it into a Super Bowl commercial. Like, who would have thought?
Dumb
And
luck.
yeah, and that's, I think, so important, especially for younger communities to remember, is like, keep going. If the video didn't get the likes, post another one. Like, it's it's an important thing to keep having those dreams and those desires. And yeah, so I want to thank you for coming on, Conry. um, Appreciate you coming on and sharing your story and talking a little bit about skiing and mental health and everything. And I'm sure the audience will love this. um, you
No, thank you.
are
Thank you. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, I was going to say you're a role model, I know, to a lot of young people in the ski community. And sharing a little bit deeper about who you are, I think is awesome. That's the point of this whole thing, is who is Conry. And we could never do that in a 1 hour podcast. But it does give an inside look into the life of a professional skier. And it's not always sunshine and rainbows as a lot of people think our lives are on social media. So yeah, thanks for coming on, man.
no, definitely not. And thank you. Thank you for inviting me onto your podcast. It's an honor to be here, and thanks for giving athletes like myself a voice in a different realm and medium, and allowing us to tell our stories and just being a little beacon of light of good that could maybe stick with someone. I listen to podcasts all day, so um,
Yeah.
I know their value.
Yeah,
Hopefully people enjoy listening to this one. It was a fun conversation with you, and yeah, I look forward to maybe meeting you in person or taking some laps at some point.
absolutely. Yeah, man. Well, thanks so much to the audience for falling off the floor. Our episode with Conry Lundin. We are out.
Boom.